Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiger Network, where for the first time in 2020, we are all set to get underway with some Tiger baseball. Trinity 4-0 starting the season last weekend in Austin, and Endicott coming into town for their first action of 2020. Ryan Figert joined tonight by Sam McWhirter. And Sam, you've been keeping up with the team's early action this year. What can you tell us about the new look Trinity Tigers?
I mean, it's a good start. A lot of returning talent from last year. The pitching staff is a bit unsettled. That's something we'll have to keep an eye on throughout this series. Obviously, Cater on the mound tonight. We know he has good stuff. We think he can make it through. But the pitching staff has gone a lot of change. A couple of transfers have come in. Mostly the hitting is the same. The guys that you recognize, Chalmette, Meredith, they're still up there at the top of the lineup, alongside some real talent that's come in, like Michael Herrera. It's looking like it's going to be a really good team, and they're going to hold themselves to some high standards. This is a number 4 preseason overall team, and they've gone up to number 3. This team has high expectations of itself, and I think they can meet them.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the changeup in the pitching rotation. Losing starter Mark Tyndall for the season was a huge blow, but the likes of Cater and James Natoli hoping to step into the shoes left behind by the senior. You see the Tigers starting lineup on your screen. Herrera leading off, Chalmette, Meredith, Goodrich, Vonderar, Pettit, Wisniewski, Metz, and Johnson. And for the visiting Endicott College Gulls, Joseph Miller, John Duffy, Kyle Brennan, Nicholas Perkins, Jake Nardone, Christopher Webster, Matthew Robita, Matthew McKinley, Christian Allaire, and on the mound is Cooper Annable for head coach Brian Haley in his 12th season at the helm for the school from Massachusetts, Beverly, Massachusetts, as we are set to get underway here at the campus of Trinity University. The battery for Trinity, Cater, and behind the plate, Tyler Pettit. And the first pitch of Trinity's 2020 home schedule is just outside for a ball. Like you mentioned, Trinity come into this season ranked number 4 in the country and then move themselves up with those wins to number 3. A team with huge expectations made it to the NCAA regional last season, fell short, and they hope to push on. Now, I was looking at it, and anybody that was a member of that 2016 national championship team has now moved on. Do you think that maybe gives the Tigers a little bit of an edge? They can kind of reset themselves and say, we don't have to live in the shadow of that past success and try and live up to that.
I mean, it's certainly a fresh start to a certain extent, like you mentioned. And again, even just being 4 years past it from a time perspective, not even from a player perspective, I'm sure that gives you a little bit of extra breathing room, as that's a good strike there from Cater.
Yeah, of course, the immediate disappointment of not making the NCAA tournament the next season, and then it's been a little bit of a slow grind to get back to what that 2016 team was able to do. Coach Tim Scannell in his 22nd season for Trinity is looking to do just that. So we have time called here. Fouled off by Miller, the left-hander playing in right field for the Gulls.
And just something to talk about Cater for a moment. He has slightly made some tweaks to his delivery. It's a little bit more over the top and getting right behind the fastball as he releases it this season. It's resulting in a little bit more backspin when it goes up in the zone. And that one he leaves low, but that one that gets up in the zone, we've seen it swung and missed on once already, and then one fouled straight up in the air and back. It's going to be tough for hitters to handle if he can keep it high in the zone and if he can keep that ride on it.
I believe this is going to be the payoff pitch here for Cater on batter number 1. Sent out into right center, and comfortable that time for Mason Meredith. Keeps his place in center field from last season, where we saw him make some spectacular plays. The outfield this year a little bit different, though. Chalmette moved over to right, and that incorporates Blake Johnson over and left.
Pretty weak fly ball. Looked good off the bat, but would have been easily dealt with even if it was a bit deeper. This is a Trinity team that defensively I think has gotten quite a bit more solid, especially behind the plate. Pettit, outstanding reviews for his defense behind the plate. And with the moves they've been able to make around, with Herrera coming in and some of these transfers, they've been able to shift everyone into a really favorable position and just put them in a place where they can make plays without pressure. And I think it's really paid off so far.
0-1 pitch this time from Cater. Gets another swing and a miss. To your point, it's a lot of the same names, but quite a few of them moved around from what we saw last season. Meredith keeps his place in center field. Metz at third base. But the likes of Goodrich no longer behind the plate, at least for tonight. He's the DH. Wisniewski moved from short to second base. Chamet moved from left to right field. So a lot of shuffling. And there's going to be strike 3 there on the foul tip, held by Pettit. And Cater's got 2 outs quickly here in the opening frame.
Breaking ball looks really sharp from him so far. Only thrown it a couple of times, but every once in a while with Corey Cater, you just get that feeling that he's on top of things, and it's going to be tough for the hitters to catch up for it.
Kyle Brennan now also gets the foul tip. It's going to be strike 1. The Wallingford, Connecticut native in his junior season. His career .243 hitter. Was much better last year in the high 200s. Has 51 RBIs over his 2 seasons, though. Consistent contributor in the middle of the lineup for the Gulls. That one just gets away from Cater in the dirt. 1-1. Just out ahead of the hitters, isn't he? Quite a few foul tips early on in this inning. So to get the 1 strikeout and 2 tips out of Kyle Brennan here. He started the Tigers' opening game against Laverne and got the win in 5 2/3 innings pitched. Didn't allow any runs, 2 strikeouts and 3 walks. This one is fouled off. It's not going to stay in play, I don't believe. Just over the fence, where until very recently, the entire area of the ground was dug up, and we were worried that we weren't going to get this home opener off as scheduled, but luckily the construction crew got on it and was able to seal up the ground, seal up the left field wall just in time for Trinity Baseball's first pitch of the 2020 season. And that's been a frustration for Coach Scannell and co, but glad to see that put in the rear view and to see the parking lots opened up. As we get strike 3 swinging there. Pettit throws down, and he gets his man. So the Gulls go in order in the top half of the first. Corey Cater gets a couple of strikeouts, and we'll be right back on the Tiger Network for the first swings from the home team. Welcome back for the bottom of the first inning, where we're going to get the first look at Herrera, the transfer shortstop for Trinity, his first appearance at home for the Tigers. He's leading off for Coach Scannell. Michael Herrera, the Phoenix, Arizona native. Tigers incredibly excited. You can see already the numbers he's put up. He's got real power from the leadoff position. The Tigers, with Herrera in the lineup, look a much more powerful team. 6 home runs already in the 4 games. That's a much higher mark than they put out last season. I think you have to be aware when the Tigers are playing at home, move the car out of the way. See, they put up those signs, fly ball warning, but in years past, you don't really have to worry about it. But with Herrera in town, you certainly need to avoid those first couple of rows.
I think with Herrera in town, they've added new signs in the front of the parking lot, all the way out there.
The junior on the mound, Cooper Annable for Endicott. Just steps off that time, takes his time. Just catches the outside corner with that one.
Yeah, tight call, but in warm-ups, not looking particularly comfortable with the breaking ball, yanking it a couple times. It does seem like, at the very least, he's targeting that outside corner to a right-handed hitter, inside corner for the lefties. Fastball has some run on it due to the high 3/4 arm slot. Not a ton of heat, but it moves.
Again, looks for the outside corner and gets the call. And that's going to be Herrera down on strikes. You can see how little he was impressed with that one from the umpire behind the plate. I have to say, from our angle at least, which is pretty good, that looked pretty low. You hear the cheers for Rafe Shamet as he digs in to the left-hander's batter's box. And there's a lot of hype around Rafe Shamet's senior year. Moved to the right field defensively and hoping to get the same type of contribution from the third-team All-Region selection at the plate. Sugar Land, Texas native, had a little bit of a slow start in the opening 4 games, but I think the comforts of home will suit him here.
Yeah, it's amazing they haven't needed him this year so far. That is roped. But as I was saying, they haven't really needed him this year to come through as they have in years past. And I'm sure that'll perhaps change in certain games as things go on, but it just goes to show the level of talent that they possess this year. It is not a one-man show for sure. Even if Shamet is more than capable of starring in one.
Annable misses big for the second time against Shamet that time. We saw his approach to the right-handed hitter with Herrera. So far hasn't been able to control it against the lefty, and he leaves that one out over the plate. Shamet sends it back deep into left field, and it's going to be comfortable in the end for Brennan. Thought Shamet could give that one a ride as Annable just left it out over the plate.
Yeah, that's just off the end of the bat. Still pretty deep, though, for a slight mishit.
Yeah, 12 home runs in Rafe Shamet's career. Was looking to make it 13. Here's another guy that's put a few out of the park here. Already won this season, Mason Meredith. This one is staying firmly in the park, though, as he grounds it to the shortstop, and the Tigers go in order as well. So far, 6 up, 6 down in Game 1 at home for Trinity. Be back with you for the second inning. You're watching Trinity Baseball on the Tiger Network.
Okay.
Nicholas Perkins digs in, the designated hitter for Endicott, to start off the second inning in his junior season. Love to see a player wearing the old spectacles. And he saw that one coming right at him. But I think the umpire is going to bail out Cater potentially here. No. Sends him on down to first base. Color me confused here, Sam. I'm not sure quite
Color
what the call is.
Endicott coach confused as well. He comes out of the dugout to talk about it.
Did he call him out? Potentially?
No, I believe it's just
foul ball.
He's going to say that that's foul tip somehow, which I didn't see it.
Yeah, he's closer than we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he goes again for the outside corner.
Yeah, possibly. But, I mean, that's a tough one to call, especially when the pitch is that far out of the zone.
Perkins again swings the bat in a circular motion, and he goes down on 3 pitches. After all that, Cater has strikeout number 3 of the evening.
And to me, Cater feels like a pitcher right now who is on the right path. The mechanics changes have worked. It's in a good place. It just needs time to bed in, and every couple of pitches you're going to have one that just doesn't feel good. It's going to land outside of the zone. It's not going to look particularly good. But for the rest of it, you're really going to be on when you're on. And it'll just take time until that becomes the whole game.
Jake Nardone takes that one low. Hear the Trinity fans' reaction to that. They probably would compare it to the strike 3 that went against Herrera in the Tiger half of the first inning. Cater got his first opportunity to start a few games last season. He was a reliever in his first Tiger campaign, and then, like I mentioned earlier already, started the Tiger season opener against Laverne. He was recognized third-team All-Region alongside Rafe Chamet last year as he finds that outside corner of the plate. And I think he's poised for even bigger and better things in his junior season. And when you look at up and down this Tiger roster, the seniors and the juniors, it's really starting to line up to be a high-powered Tiger team, both on the mound and in the batter's box.
Yeah, it's looking about that time, isn't it?
Antonian's finest. Let's go, Sticks. Here we go.
Out number 2 there for Cater as he gets the simple ground ball to second base. Wisniewski with the putout.
1-7 doesn't even wear sleeves. That dude doesn't get phased by the movement.
Cater, the 6'5" right-hander from Sacramento, California.
Dorchester. Foxborough. Oh, sheesh. You got it?
Got the fastball hard and inside that time against Christopher Webster, the sophomore catcher from Ludlow, Massachusetts. Looking to make quick work of Endicott's 4, 5, and 6 hitters here in the second inning. The goals came to town a little bit later in Trinity's season last year, and the Tigers took the series 2-1. It was an 8-1 success in game 1, 14-12, and a up and down performance from Trinity, and then a 5-4 Endicott win as Trinity's 9th inning rally fell short in that one. Looking to maybe go one better this year and sweep the goals out of town. A lot of baseball to be played for that to happen as he gets strike 2 at a high fastball.
Yeah, that's unfair. That's not a D3 pitch.
So Webster going to have to play from behind here, down in the count 1-2. And he's going to head back to the dugout, still looking for that one as it just evaded his bat. And Cater gets a couple of strikeouts. He's up to 4 already through 2 innings. And we'll be back for the home side of the second in just a moment. Welcome back to the Tiger Network, where we're here for the bottom half of the second inning. Annable just getting his last couple of warm-up pitches in. You see the catcher's throw down the second. Looked decent in the first inning. Looked decent there as well. Tigers yet to get anyone on base, though, to test the man behind the plate. See if the middle of the order can do that. It'll be Goodrich, Vonderar, and Pettit due up. Right, left, right for Trinity. Goodrich, one of 6 players listed on Trinity's roster that were listed as players to watch, I believe by D3Baseball.com for this season. The senior from Gilbert, Arizona, has hit .345 in his career. Excuse me, .313 on .335 at bats, and he's off to a hot start to his senior year as well. He's the leader in career home runs amongst this Trinity roster with 18. And at least tonight, not having to worry about the defensive side of things, just looking to contribute at the plate.
Rocking the button-down hoodie look. Tiger fashion back in action.
I'm sure we'll see the hoodie removed as the season goes on and the temperatures get a little bit warmer. Set for a cool couple of opening weekends for Tiger baseball. Temperature into the 40s tonight. Save from the comforts of the studio as Goodrich shoots that one into left field, and the first base runner goes to Trinity. The designated hitter does his job and finds himself on first base.
Quality piece of hitting there. And again, Annable, he's just been missing his spots. And that one is right in the meat of the bat for Goodrich.
Now Jack Vonderar for Trinity. Their number 10 stands in the left-hander's batter's box. Hitting a .308 mark and squaring to bunt here. Pulls it back and umpire says no. It's a call he's given a couple of times already, I think. Not that time. Vonderar was a streaky player last season, wasn't he? He had a couple of weekends where he would just get hot and be impossible to take out of the lineup for Coach Scannell, and then other weekends where he just couldn't put it together. Looking to be a little bit more consistent this year as that one goes past him and sends Michael Goodrich comfortably to second base standing.
And just to talk a little bit more about Vonderhaar, he's a guy, from the moment he stepped on campus, people were looking at and saying, I don't know what season it's going to be, but this kid is going to have a huge year. And we've seen the progress steadily moving forward. This season, the swing looks good. It's compact. It looks like it could be impactful. You just got to wonder, is this the year where he puts it all together and that season people have been seeing for years is finally coming to fruition?
Yeah, it looks like he's got a at least semi-consistent spot in terms of being at first base. Saw him in left field last season and DH at times as well. Maybe he's another that benefits from the defensive adjustments that Trinity's made. That one just dropped off and out of the catcher's mitt. Goodrich stays put at second base. And it's going to be a 3-1 count here for Vonderhaar. We'll see if he has the green light at anything near the zone. The runner in scoring position. And he's going to send him to first base with ball 4 that time from Annabelle. So 2 on, nobody out. Could be something brewing here for Trinity as Pettit comes to the plate.
And Pettit is so good defensively that if he hits 260, 250 the whole season, you're happy with that. That's more than enough of a contribution for what he does on the defensive side. But this is a guy with some legit pop.
Junior catcher takes that one for strike 1 across the plate. And he was used sparingly last season as a pretty much emergency catcher behind Goodrich. Looking to make the role his own behind the dish this year. As Goodrich the man on second, Vonderhaar on first, nobody out here in the bottom half of the second inning. Animal misses that one, and Webster does well just to keep it from going to the backstop. Already had one wild pitch. Animal just looking to collect himself here and try and get somebody out. Pettit, the man at the plate now. Check of the runner at second and comes and deals high that time. 2-1. Another long check of the runner at second, and this one's fouled straight back and stuck in the fence. See how long they let that one stay there until it falls out.
It's a pretty nice hop.
Jack Wisniewski, the man waiting on deck, went to go grab it.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about NBA vertical, but, you know, pretty good.
Webster almost needed to get into his vertical jump to bring that one in. It's going to be a full count now for Pettit. And we're really having to work for an out here in the second inning.
Hey, nobody better, 2-8. Nobody better. Here we go.
Two checks to the runner this time, Goodrich, and the payoff pitch is outside. It was a matter of inches on the outside of the plate that time. The umpire deciding to send Pettit on his way down to first base. And there's going to be a quick mound visit from Webster and I think from Coach Haley as well.
Yeah, it's not a bad thought. The execution just isn't there, and I think that's mostly been the way the entire game plan has gone so far for Anibal. Game plan has been there. He was going to attack hitters low and left with the curveball. Try and steal those strikes on the edge with the two-seam. Just hasn't come off so far. And the command's been a real issue.
Of course, his first appearance of the season. It's Endicott's first game of the season, coming down from a much colder Massachusetts. Let's say it's too warm here, at least by our standards, but I'm sure it's almost lush for them to come down and be able to wear short sleeves as Anibal is doing now. Rolled up undershirt.
The game plan is complex, okay? Here we go.
So Wisniewski steps up to the plate now with the bases loaded and nobody out. Just want to do anything you can to bring somebody home here. He's hitting 143 in the first 4 games of the season. You could add to that 1 RBI with any type of hit here. Nearly got hit himself with that fastball coming in low near the ankles. And the 1-0. And Wisniewski is going to send that one past the first baseman and deep into the corner. This is going to score a couple as Goodrich waves Vonderar home. See where everybody ends up, but the Tigers get everybody home on the RBI double from Jack Wisniewski. That's big from the Tigers' second baseman.
Yeah, and this one is on the ground, but it is smoked. Big mistake by Anibal, leaving one right over the heart of the plate, and he gets punished for it.
I have to imagine that's the exact opposite of what Coach coming in the dugout would have talked to him about. And now Endicott find themselves down 3 runs here in the bottom of the second. Still nobody out, and MJ Metz at the plate.
And it seems to me like it's just been a series of overcorrections for Anibal. You know, you yank the curveball down low and left, and then the next time you leave it far up above the zone. Just finding that zone where you're making smaller adjustments, I think, is really important as a pitcher, and not been able to do it tonight for Anibal. And you see it there again. Low and left with the fastball, and then up top above the zone.
Behind in the count here again, 2-0. MJ Metz gives him a much bigger strike zone to aim at. Still hasn't been able to find it. That's in his second season with the Tigers. The third baseman takes the 2-0 and sends it foul.
Yeah, and the stats haven't looked amazing for Metz so far this season, but tell you what, he has hit some balls that have really just been smoked right out of field to him. And some of those are going to start dropping for him. It's why he's still in the lineup. Apart from the fact that it's just early in the season, is that we've seen those signs of really solid contact from him.
Yeah, and that goes back to last season as well. Just got really unlucky a couple of games. As that's going to send Wisniewski down to third. And almost had a chance to come home. It was tough for the catcher to find it. Now just 90 feet away, Jack Wisniewski. As Metz looks to grab his second run batted in of the season.
And it's just Army pitching right now for Anibal. Miss left, miss right, miss left, miss right. It's really tough to know what to do as a pitcher in that situation, because every adjustment you make seems to be too much.
That sends this one sky high. And it's going to be in pop fly rule in effect and brought home for out number 1. Don't mind sending one high, but you want to get it out into the outfield where it can score the runner. That one nowhere near as Metz is retired.
Yeah, you can see the thinking from Metz there, but with a pitcher in this much danger, probably likely smart to not worry about it too much. If it's still a 0-0 game, sure, but you're in a better place.
That brings up sophomore Blake Johnson from Houston, Texas, already hitting .429 on the season. Put down in the 9-hole to try and maybe turn over that order, as he was incredibly effective at getting on base last year. Shoots that one down the line, sends everybody diving left and right in the Tiger bullpen. Make sure they're awake down there. Not taking too many Barstool Trinity videos. Johnson was instant offense when he got his chance last year. He was moved all around defensively. Looks to have found a home in left field. And we'll see if he can bring Wisniewski home from third base with this at bat. Behind in the count 1-2. Hannibal looking to get into a groove and get out of this tough second inning. Steps off this time, take his time.
Hey, Wiz, watch the third to first move. You never know. You never know on the third to first move.
Delivery that time from Hannibal in the dirt. It's going to even up the count at 2-2. Corey Cater waiting in Trinity's dugout at the moment. Already has 4 strikeouts. Has been electric to start off. He's been made to wait in this inning, though, as the Tigers provide him some run support. Hannibal deals, and this one shot foul again by Johnson.
Keeping himself alive and looking dangerous, that's for sure. Not exactly a confidence-boosting way to be in a 2-2 count.
A very patient hitter, Johnson. Likes to work a walk when he can. This time he takes a swing as that one came in over the plate. We'll see if it stays in play for Endicott. Just drops in their dugout. So the count stays 2-2 for Johnson. This is going to be pitch number 39 for Hannibal. Trying to get out of the second frame. That one sent out into the outfield. This may be deep enough to score the runner, Wisniewski. Coming in on it is the center fielder, and he commits an error there. That's not what the pitcher will want to see, as he got a sure second out there off the bat of Blake Johnson. But Duffy couldn't hold it. I think he already had his mind on trying to gun out Wisniewski at the plate.
And you gotta just help your pitcher out there. In a tough enough spot already without defensive miscues.
Michael Herrera back up to the plate. Was dubiously called out on strikes his first time up. And he now comes up with Johnson on first, and the Tigers 4-0 in front. Hannibal with a check of the runner.
Yeah, and it's one of the more interesting setups on this Tiger lineup. Really closed off with the bottom half, really opened up with the front half. Bat on the shoulder. It's kind of like 3 different batting stances put together. But if it works, it works.
Yeah, he's really been able to put it together so far in the early season. And the runner goes after a couple of checks. Johnson is in there safely. Webster's throw just came a little bit late and a little bit off the mark. So a runner in scoring position now for Herrera.
And Anibal got about one pitch without a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, you mentioned his delivery a little bit slow to home plate, and I think the Tigers keyed in on that and sending Johnson on his way to second base.
No doubt in my mind, and especially with Herrera at the plate, I think you're not worried about potentially missing a strike. You trust your man. And you put him in a position to do even more damage.
Animal comes home, and he's high with the third pitch of the at-bat. 2-1 count.
Already up to 42 pitches as well.
Yeah, after a relatively straightforward first inning when he only needed 10 pitches to get through the top three in the Tiger order, he's done the exact opposite here in this one and labored for every out, and should have had two, but he only has one, and that's why Blake Johnson is now standing on third on the wild pitch. He represents a potential run number 5 of this second inning for Trinity. They had a 9-run second inning in the 14-12 win against Endicott last season. As Herrera lets that one come comfortably down the middle of the plate, was taking all the way. Now a full count.
I think that's a really important pitch for him. Sometimes you get in a funk like this and the strike zone just looks like a dot. And anything you can do to throw even a moderately good pitch, just get a strike in there. Sometimes it just really feels like a confidence booster and like you might be able to get a little bit back on track.
Herrera fouled off the first offering on the full count. Here's Hannibal's second chance. Not a ton of difference between that one and the one that Herrera was called out for in the first inning. Maybe a makeup call that time from the umpire. You don't mind it from a Trinity perspective. Hannibal would have preferred a consistent approach from the man behind the plate. Now a chance for Rafe Shamet to really announce himself at home as a senior. Runners on the corners and one gone.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see Herrera run during this at-bat. Just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, Hannibal looking to keep an eye on it himself. He wasn't able to keep Johnson at first. Hannibal comes home, and that one's on the inside corner of the plate for strike one. The 0-1 to Shamet misses as well. Webster pops up and checks both runners. Nobody moving that time. Levels the count at 1-1. The Tigers have reached base through a couple of hits, 1 error, and 3 walks in this inning, and they've plated 4. Still just one away. And that was the MJ Mets pop-up a little bit earlier on. That one again misses high and outside to Shamet. Certainly trying to pitch around the Tigers right fielder. We saw it in his first at bat as well.
I can't blame him. I'd be doing the same. Last thing I'd want to do is give Shamet a reason to drive one over the fence.
2-1, and he might have done just that as he sends it down the right field line. Is it going to stay fair? No. And I thought that was going to be a beautiful setup from you there, Sam. He nearly sent that one out of the stadium. His first at bat, he came just about 10 feet from the wall. That one didn't quite have the distance and hooked foul, but looked good off the bat, certainly.
Still pretty deep as well.
This will be a 2-2 offering here from Annabelle. And another one barreled up by Shamet. This one sent out into center field and brought in this time by Duffy. It's going to score the runner from third, and an RBI for Shamet on the sac fly. And the Tigers lead 5-0.
Decent little RBI, and you notice Duffy a lot more lax in his fielding of that one. Was not going to make the same mistake twice. Let the runner score easily without a throw, but he was going to make sure he caught that ball.
See the runner tag, Blake Johnson. And like you mentioned, Duffy mostly focused on just getting that second out. And a little bit of damage limitation here in the bottom of the second. As the runner's checked once again. Herrera still standing on first for Trinity as Meredith digs in for his second at-bat of the evening. Already managed to score 6 runs in the opening 4 games. That's credit to the middle of the Tiger order as Meredith's been hitting pretty high up for Coach Scannell. That one low, and the throw down from the knees, not in time to catch Herrera off the bag. Just want to make sure they don't forget about him.
They're certainly worried about it.
Two away here in the bottom of the second. Trinity leads 5-0, and Meredith sends this one down the line. Foul, is it going to stay in play? Nope, just a few feet over the fence.
Tree almost caught it.
That one comfortably outside, and we're just looking to get out of the inning here. Finally has the first 2 outs. Be surprised, we don't have eyes on the Endicott pin, but be surprised to see somebody warming up maybe for the third. After Animals really lost control here in the second after what has to be said a decent first inning. And this one's barreled up by Meredith, sent out into the left field, and it's over the left fielder's head. And that's going to score another one here for Trinity, as they're actually going to end up holding the runner, I believe. See a little dance there from Meredith, standing on second base now. And the Tigers bat around here in the second.
And just another mistake over the center of the plate, this time with a curveball, and that is smoked over the left fielder's head. And probably a good idea to keep Herrera at third. 2 men still on, dangerous part of the middle of the lineup. And I believe that's going to be the end of Annabelle's night.
Yep, so he didn't quite make it into the third inning. He gives up 5 runs, 4 of them earned. And we'll see who they turn to when we catch up with you in just a moment on the Tiger Network. So the goals turn to Max Tarlin here to try and close out the second inning. It comes into a pretty tough situation here as Goodrich comes to the plate with runners on second and third. You see Tarlin has 6 career appearances for the Gulls. He's in his second season. Went 6 innings last year, gave up 7 hits, 9 runs, 7 of those earned, walked 5, and struck out 8. A lot of the strikeouts may be coming from that curveball you noticed in the warm-up.
Yeah, the curveball looks very good. Again, coming out of a fairly similar 3/4 arm slot to Anibal. Much quicker and shorter arm action, especially in the load. Fastball is okay, has a little bit of varying movement. He can cut it slightly when he needs to, put a little sink on it when he needs to as well, but velocity, not anything special, certainly.
1-1 here to Michael Goodrich, who led off this inning with a single out into left field. That one outside on pitch number 3 for Tarlin. It's 2-1 now for Michael Goodrich.
Yeah, and both those misses to the left side just yanked. Seemed like the kind of mistake you make when you're overthrowing, just trying to put a little extra heat and get yourself out of this inning.
Leaves that one out over the plate for Goodrich to chop down to third base. This one should be comfortable for the Gulls. And Tarlin comes in, does his job, gets out of the jam. But not before the Tigers plate 5 in the bottom half of the second. They lead comfortably as we head into frame number 3. Corey Cater coming back out in just a moment. So Rabida, McKinley, and Allaire due up for Endicott here in the top of the third, who find themselves behind 5-0 after a big second inning from Trinity. Cater comes back out to the mound, much more comfortable now. See if he can continue his hot start. He finds the outside of the plate that time with the fastball just at the knees. Tigers only needed 3 hits to grab their 5 runs. Helped out by Animal's struggles both with walks, wild pitches, and then the air from Duffy in center field. Haven't seen any of that so far from Trinity defensively. Skater's out in front with a 0-2 count. And it's going to be strike number 3, but this one's going to get away. And tough one that time for both Cater and Pettit to deal with. So we get the strikeout, but first base runner of the evening for Endicott.
Yeah, and you've just got to be more aware. I mean, personally, it's not a rule that I like. It's one we put in place in the 1890s when guys just decided not to catch the ball at all, and so they forced you to catch it. And I think now guys are just throwing stuff that is nasty and it's difficult. And a strike is a strike, baby.
Cater has been finding that strike with consistency so far. Now he's working with the runner on. We'll see how that changes or doesn't change his approach. Check of the runner here. Rabida at first. Kinley, the junior right-handed hitter, sends this one off the end of the bat and out into right field. And there's going to be a couple on here for Endicott. See if that mistake on the strikeout snowballs into anything potentially dangerous for the goals in the third inning.
Yeah, and Cater's really got to bear down here mentally. It's always a tough situation when you feel like you let somebody on base that didn't deserve to get there. Maybe you feel wronged by a pitch that you thought was a strike and it was called a ball, or maybe it's a drop third strike. Maybe it's just a hit that you were sure that you had him struck out on. It's those moments when your fortitude is really tested.
Check of the runner at second. Back in time. And now all attentions turn to Allaire, the left-handed batter. Takes a couple of practice swings and steps in. Cater wanted to turn up the heat with that one, but missed low. There, the sophomore from Sandown, New Hampshire. Was named to the all-conference second team last year and was actually the rookie of the week for his performances against Trinity.
Yeah, and he had a decent series. 5 hits, 3 walks, and 4 RBI over the course of the series. So it was a solid one for him. Disappeared a little bit in game 2 of the series, but 1 and 3, both really strong games for him. Got 6 plate appearances in the third game and really was able to get Trinity pitching's number, but not the case today.
Yeah, Cater retires him with relative ease that time, gets him looking at the fastball. Strikeout number 6 for Corey Cater. And Christian Allaire heads back to the dugout. Empty-handed. Endicott working here with runners on first and second as we get back to the top of the order. Joseph Miller, the right fielder, stands in. Cater misses high that time. Pettit reaches up to bring it in. Be a 1-0 count for the leadoff batter, who flew out in his first at bat.
Yeah, and Millar seems specifically like the type of guy who would struggle with Cater's new fastball. That high up in the zone, riding fastball. Millar has such an uppercut swing. So easy to be late on those balls or just pop them up harmlessly. Something we've seen a rise of in the MLB, certainly. And it filters all the way down the ranks.
Cater's 2-0 pitch is precise, finds the strike zone, and it's 2-1. Endicott here, if they can find a way to get a couple of runs back in the third, you don't have to get it all back at once. Certainly have to find answers on the defensive side of things, keeping Trinity from adding to the 5 runs. But particularly in the game which they were able to win in the series last year, this one's popped up into shallow right field, and Wisniewski makes the play. There's a lot of small ball played by the goals. They were smart with their stealing of bases, making sacrifice bunt when they need to, and plating 5, and that one was enough. It won't be today. Trinity already has 5 of their own. And this man responsible for at least one of them, John Duffy, who committed the error in the bottom of the second. We'll look to maybe make amends here by bringing somebody home. Senior outfielder from Stratford, Connecticut. Takes the offering from Cater, and he's able to lay off. Or no, says the umpire. 0-1.
Not particularly generous, but we'll take it.
He giveth and he taketh away so far in this game. Cater gets the sign from Pettit. Check of the runner at second. And this one's grounded up the middle. We'll see if a play can be made. Unfortunately, Herrera can't bring it in. It looks like the goals are going to get on the board. And Duffy is able to get an RBI to make up for the error in the bottom half of the second.
Yeah, and that's a tough one, but I don't think it's as tough as Herrera made it look. Not even sure if he needed to be diving for that one. It looked like it went under the gap as he was diving between elbow and shoulder, so kind of overextended for that one. Just misplayed it.
Cater gets a visit to the mound here just to discuss what's going on as the goals have one back in the third. Still a couple of runners on base. Duffy at first, McKinley at second. And the number 3 batter, Kyle Brennan, is the man at the plate. Struck out swinging in his first at bat in the opening half inning. See if Cater can add another to his 6 strikeouts already in this game. That one in the right-hander's batter's box that time from Cater. Has to be careful not to let the pitch count get too high here. It's already up into the 40s. This one is grounded past Wisniewski, and this one may score another. No play at the plate, and Endicott have another one back. Runners at the corners now. Still 2 away, but Cater just struggling to get over the finish line here in the third.
Yeah, and it's exactly that brand of Endicott baseball that we were talking about just a moment ago. Scratching and clawing, just dinking those singles right where they need to be at the correct times. Now you've clawed back 2, and you're just hanging on in this game, which seems like it should be far out of reach by this point. But this is how they do things, and if they're going to win this game, it's going to be how they're going to have to continue to do things. Just find the smart play, find the sacrifice if it's there. Just be able to claw your way to the top.
So Brendan on first, Duffy on third, and Nicholas Perkins at the plate. Sends this one back to the dugout. Foul. Be 1-1 for the designated hitter, who was another strikeout victim of Corey Cater in his first time up to bat. Cater comes set, long set, and the pitch comes on inside. Perkins fouls it off again.
Yeah, and the only thing that I can see from a mechanical standpoint is just that Cater seems maybe a little bit out of balance on his plant foot. But to be honest, he doesn't seem too out of sorts. You know, the fastball still looks good. The breaking ball still looks fairly good.
And they play at second base here, and it's going to allow the runner to score. That was, like you said, just scratching and crawling, getting whatever you can. And
yeah, I mean, if that isn't the definition, textbook way. That is not incredible defense there. And we spoke highly of the defense coming into this game, and I would say it's cost the Tigers 2 runs to this point. Do you think it's fair?
Yeah, it's certainly been a couple of difficult plays. That one I thought was just a well-executed play from Endicott.
Yeah, it's tough to blame too much, but it certainly seems like things could be slightly better as the inning finally ends.
Yeah, it's really tough to allow that third run to come across just before Cater gets strike 3, his 7th strikeout. But Endicott get 3 back in the top of the third. The Tiger bats come up in just a moment. So Max Tarlin stays out there on the mound for Endicott after getting Goodrich at the end of the second inning, getting out of the jam of second and third. And he's going to face Vonderar, Pettit, and Wisniewski here. And misses well outside that time. Nobody on base yet for Trinity to profit from pretty wild first pitch of the at-bat.
Yeah, and we've seen the fastball already be a little bit lax for Tarlin. It's really that breaking ball that seems to be the nastier pitch. Doesn't seem to be something he's willing to rely on just yet, though.
Big cut that time taken from Vonderar, but he fouls it off, so count even at 1-1. Tigers opened up the season 4-0 after a very successful weekend up in Austin. Wins against Laverne, Laterno twice, and Concordia, who were the regional champions last year, coming to this one ranked number 23 in the country. All those coming in the space of a couple of days in Austin. Coach Skin will be extremely pleased with how the Tigers were able to handle things on the road and to come back to the comforts of home where they've played their vast majority of games over the past few seasons. Still undefeated. Looking to add to that with the series against Endicott here. In 2019, they played 33 home games and 14 games either away or neutral. This year, they're scheduled for 25 home games, 12 away and 3 neutral. That's the bare minimum. I think all Tiger fans will hope to see quite a few more games than that be played. Vanderhaar's worked this one to a full count against Tarlin. And the payoff pitch on its way. Comes in low. Second walk of the evening for Vanderhaar.
I've been really impressed with his patience tonight, and it's something that we've seen over the course of a couple of his starts earlier in the season as well, but it's nice to see it up close and personal, not just on video. It's really seemingly a difference in approach this season, waiting for his pitch, taking cuts only on the pitches that he likes. And it's resulted in a couple of outs on strikeouts, but also some really nice, well-worked walks and some really hard-hit balls. I hope he can continue it.
Pettit, another one who walked his first time up as well. They both scored on the RBI double from Wisniewski, who waits on deck. See Metz holding his helmet in the back of your shot. He's in the hole. Slight renovation here at Trinity's baseball park. They add that protective layer to the outside of the dugout. Not to say it'll do too much if a line drive's coming for your head, but at least one shot along the ground should be taken by the fence.
Step in the right direction, at least.
Certainly more renovations to come in the near future for Trinity baseball. They needed to get rid of the construction aspect of things first. This one's sent out into right field by Pettit. And comfortable for Millar. Runner stays put at first base, and that brings up Jack Wisniewski.
And Wisniewski was someone who last year, not too dissimilar to a couple of other players, honestly, just hot and cold. And this year, we're just looking to see a little bit more consistency from him, being able to keep those focus levels up. And if he can stay at the top of his game, his ceiling is really high, I believe. It's just being able to cut out those mistakes and days where he's not quite on it.
Gets a little help from the mound there as it takes a hop past both the middle infielders and into center field. And it's 2 for 2 now for Wisniewski and 2 on base for Trinity.
That brings up the big boy.
.6'5" right-handed hitter MJ Metz popped out relatively harmlessly in the second. It's another opportunity here with a couple on base.
That's a heck of a pitch. Breaking ball high from Tarlin and just freezing the hitter. You have to imagine that if that's something he could do more often, he would. Maybe just doesn't quite have the confidence in the command of the pitch at the moment.
The 0-1 hangs out over the plate for Metz. He sends it deep into center field. Duffy's going to bring it in.
That is such a shame for MJ Metz. How many times have we seen that? Just a ball crushed right at the center fielder.
At a certain point, it has to go from unlucky to what can we change a little bit maybe in terms of the timing to try and find those gaps. But in the early season, you're at least appreciate the type of contact he's been able to make.
Yeah, you wonder if there couldn't be just slightly more of a pull mentality with MJ Mets, as that's we'll call it borderline strike on the curveball from Tarlin again.
Yeah, we've seen a couple borderline calls already from the umpire. Johnson will tuck that one away as a very similar pitch goes past him for a ball. Very patient hitter. You have to understand the umpire's game, how he's calling it. If you're going to stand in and try and be patient.
Yeah, no disrespect to any umpires at all. Very difficult job, but you got to know what you see. Mistakes are going to be made, but you're going to see them.
At the very least, we're going to see him, especially from our terrific vantage point.
Yeah, we really get to man in the high castle this and lord over it. So can't be too critical, but
That one sent foul, evens the count at 2-2 for Johnson. At the very least, he'll be looking to try and advance the runners here, standing on first and second. Trinity's 5-run lead cut down to 2 by an Endicott rally in the top of the third. That one outside, and count runs full.
yeah, and as much as the curveball command has been a little bit iffy from Tarlin, the fastball command has been not there today. And you wonder at a certain point if it's time to just go Lance McCullers on it.
And
It's a strikeout.
call goes against Johnson once again, and the Tigers aren't able to put anything on the board in the bottom of the third. They head back to the dugout to grab the gloves, and we'll be right back with you for the top of the fourth on the Tiger Network. Be Nardone for Endicott here in the top of the fourth. They trail 5-3 in San Antonio as the first-year first baseman digs in.
And there's a little bit of framing from Pettit.
I've already seen the umpire's mind can be changed.
And
No need that
is,
time.
Yeah, and Pettit is certainly good at it. If there's one part of the catching game that he really excels at, it's the framing aspect of things. We've heard pitchers talk about their bullpens and feeling like they're missing 6 inches off the plate, and Pettit makes it look like a strike.
Couldn't quite get that call there and get the 3-pitch strikeout, but looks to be hitting his spots here early on in the 4th inning.
A little bit less of a break between half innings for him as well. You wonder if that plays a bit of a factor.
Gets the pop-up here into center field, and very comfortable that time for Meredith, his second put out of the game. And there's one away here in the 4th.
Just a good, solid pitching job. Hit your spots, 4 pitches, get out of there, move on to the next one.
Yeah, and looked like that was the pace he was setting in the 3rd as well, and then the drop 3rd strike really potentially got into his head. And before he knew it, there were 3 runs on the Endicott side of the scoreboard. Interesting that this is just my ignorance of the rules, that the runner from the drop 3rd strike goes as an earned run against the pitcher. Just a curious wrinkle to that already curious rule.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's not one I'm a fan of. And certainly that is part of it. Seems tough to criticize a pitcher for that, unless you're going to call it on them. That kind of shakes up Pettit a little bit. Bounce off the mask.
Yeah, Cater hasn't been able to find the zone here against Webster. Behind in the count 3-0.
Yeah, and I mentioned it earlier on in the game, but for Cater, I feel like you're just going to have those pitches or sequence of pitches where the mechanics aren't quite there for you after you've made some slight adjustments, and then you're going to have at-bats like the first one of this inning where you're just hitting your spots, you're riding, you're cruising, and I think as the season goes on, we're going to see fewer and fewer of those uncomfortable pitches where things don't look quite right.
That one was just right on the outside corner. That's the umpire's opinion for Cater to get this one to a 3-2 count. One away here in the top half of the 4th. And strike 3 on the high fastball. And you got Webster waving the bat.
Yeah, and that's El Clasico right there. Just high heat, throw him the cheddar, say goodbye.
That one comes in on the hop. Matthew Rabida digs in. Nobody on and 2 away for the goals here. Junior lefty takes strike number 1 there, evens up the count.
Bit of a dangerous pitch, but he gets away with it.
Misses just inside with his 3rd pitch of the at-bat, 2-1. Pretty much the same exact pitch and same call that time from the umpire, just inside, 3-1. Cater looking to retire the side in order. He's come from behind in a couple of at-bats already. Puts that one in a hittable spot for Rabito, who sends it foul. And the count runs full.
You know what I'd be calling for?
Put my bets on the high heat again. Proved too much for Webster to handle. We'll see if that's where they go here with the 3-2. So fastball low in the zone, but it's chopped over to Wisniewski, and the Tigers retire the side in order. They hold on to that 2-run advantage, and they look to add to it when we come back for the bottom of the fourth. You're watching the Tiger Network. It's a new man on the mound for the Gulls to start this fourth inning. Joseph Brown, a senior righty from Vermont, has a .415 career ERA. It's his third season. He's been a starter for the majority of his appearances as a Gull. Comes on in relief here in what is still a pretty close game. He's going to face the top of the order from Trinity, Herrera, Chamet, and Meredith.
Yeah, and it's a pretty stiff delivery from him. Short arm action coming in from a low three-quarters slot. He's got that slider, and that seems to be his weapon. Fastball again, got a little bit of run to it to the arm side. Overall, got a very nice reliever profile. And he is not coming anywhere close to Herrera right now.
Yeah, pretty blatant framing attempt there from Webster. Couldn't get the call, though. 3-0, and that one comes up near the face of Herrera, who takes 4 pitches and heads on down to first base. His second straight walk.
Seen some hard contact tonight from Chamet. No results as of right now other than moving some runners around, but I think we could stand to see one make an impact here.
Yeah, I was able to get the RBI his last time up on the sac fly, but still hasn't really found his way in terms of getting on base this season in game number 5.
And if there's a pitch that he struggles with, it's that one, that sort of back heel slider. People remember Cody Bellinger when he first came into the major leagues. He had that same issue. Really beautiful lefty swing, decent power, really great bat control, but that back foot slider every once in a while just would absolutely fool him. It's not a big weakness to have, but if Shomed has one, I think that's it.
Another check of the runner at first. Worried about Herrera. We haven't seen him try and steal a base yet. Had plenty of opportunities in the second inning. Stayed put. That one again, Webster trying to move it over into the umpire's view. Two-one here coming for Shamet. That one up at the waist, and count now in favor of the Tigers right fielder, 3-1. He's gotten to an advantageous position in the last couple of at-bats as well, and he's barreled one up. Just hasn't been able to send it into a dangerous position. We'll see what he can do here with the 3-1. Fouls off, and the count's going to be full.
And I don't think that Brown has thrown one in the strike zone yet. Obviously got those 2 strikes swinging, but I haven't seen him actually put one in the strike zone.
That one way outside, I think, for Shamet, and he got caught reaching for it. He goes down on strikes. Tigers not making Brown hit the strike zone to get that put out.
And if I'm watching those 2 at-bats from the dugout and from the on-deck circle, I'm going to make this guy prove to me that he can throw a strike, because I just have not seen it yet.
That was some kind of strike. There it is, 1 for 2, grounded out on his first pitch in inning 1 and got the double in the second. Tigers center fielder here with the swing on the 0-1 count and sends it out into right field. Rounding second base is Herrera, and there's going to be runners on the corners for Trinity. So Herrera's in sliding.
Yeah, and that one might have almost been over the plate. But a good piece of hitting there. Not doing too much, but just enough. Keeps you alive. You only have 1 out. You got a 2-run lead. Just keep things moving, keep the conveyor belt moving, and get the next guy up. And I think Goodrich has undone another button, which, I mean, he was already at a substantial number of buttons undone, but if we keep at this rate of button undoing, I am seriously concerned.
I think we just go 1 for every hit that he has in the game.
That would also be pretty concerning. The way that he's been looking early on in the season. It's been a good start for him.
Brown checks the runner at first. Tigers fell victim to a little bit of a trap on the base paths when Endicott was able to get the 3rd run across as they sent both runners home. Both runners in motion. One of them comes home. I think with Goodrich at the plate, Tigers will rely on his bat to bring Herrera in. Sends that one straight back foul. Brown, a guy who you can put on the mound, you get some reliable service. We can also have him foster a dog for you. We learned that on the Endicott website. Terrific guy, fosters dogs for community service. So if you're in the Massachusetts area, he may be your man. He's out in front of Goodrich in the count here, 0-2 after some foul balls from the Tigers DH, but that's a tough one. Goodrich takes that one to the helmet and takes his time on his way down to first base. Brown apologizes. That one's certainly not where he wanted to put it. Out in front, 0-2 in the count.
Yeah, and I mean, Goodrich took that one almost the way that Craig Biggio used to take him on the shoulder.
More of a look of annoyance on his face than any signs of pain after taking that one to the head.
Just business as usual. Get yourself on base.
Bases are full of Tigers at the moment as they look to add to the 2-run advantage they already got. Vonderhaar has walked twice. He's going to take a first pitch cut and send it foul. Pettit waits on deck. He has a walk to his name as well. Brown's just going to have to worry about Vonderhaar. Good pitch that time from Brown. Dropped into the outside corner of the plate. Be a really good time to get a double play ball. Keep yourself within touching distance of the Tigers' 5 runs. Vonderhaar sends this one out into foul territory, and it's the shortstop McKinley who makes the grab just to the left of the foul line. And there are 2 away for Trinity, who are trying to profit off this bases loaded situation. It's going to have to be Tyler Pettit for Trinity if they're going to be able to bring in any of their 3 base runners. He squares off with Joseph Brown here. The first pitch comes in at the letters, 1-0.
Yeah, and like we said, with Brown, you can be patient. You can take that first pitch and just get a gauge. Pettit doesn't necessarily need to drive one here, just needs to find a gap.
Certainly took a cut at pitch number 2, sends it foul.
Yeah,
That's pitch number 20 for Brown, and just over an inning of work.
yeah, and with a pitcher that's as unpredictable as Brown is, gets a pretty good deal of movement on his pitches. Usually it's enough to just kind of poke one out there.
Pettit not interested that time with the breaking ball on the outside corner of the plate. Finds himself behind 1-2. Tigers have already left 7 on base through 3 innings, and they may be about to add 3 more to that total. And Pettit sends this one up the middle, and just a step on second base will do it for McKinley. The Tigers load him up but leave him there as the score stays 5-3, headed into the top of the 5th. We'll be right back. You're watching the Tiger Network. Cater back out on the mound for inning number 5. 5-3 Trinity as McKinley, Allaire, and Millar up to bat here in this half inning. And sent foul by the junior shortstop. 1 for 1 on the day and came around to score after a single in the third. That one left inside by Cater. We were wondering about maybe a pitch limit for him as they look to control his workload early on in the season. He's at 66 now. Can't imagine it'd be too much higher than that. He's got a good efficient inning in him here. He might get through 5. So he has 3 runs allowed in the third. His only 3 earned runs against so far across 2 appearances. Also fanned 8 so far. Looking to get number 9, but he leaves that one outside. Hitter comes inside that time, just misses as well. Believe it's going to be a full count here.
Yeah, and it seems like he really surprised Pettit with that pitch. Looks like a signs mix-up on that one.
McKinley battling to stay alive against the Tiger ace here. Full count. And the payoff pitch is going to be chopped back up the middle. We'll see if there's enough on this for the Tigers to make a play. It's good defense that time from Herrera, and 1 down in the 5th inning.
Decent fastball from Cater there. A little bit lower than he probably wanted it, but gets the job done. Keeps the chains moving, to appropriate a phrase. And as he gets deeper into this ball game, I think the main thing to think about for him is just the control. The stuff doesn't look like it's diminishing. It's just about staying on top of those mechanics, not reverting back to old habits.
Yeah, when you look back at this outing, really not a lot went wrong in terms of command or anything in that 3rd inning. It was a wild pitch on strike 3, and then that run came around to score a couple of softly hit singles through the infield. Overall, he's certainly looked the part so far. He's ahead in the count 0-2 against Allaire. That one comes in just about chest height for Pettit as he pops up out of his crouch, and it's 1-2. This will be pitch number 74 for the junior right-hander. And this time he misses low and inside.
Yeah, and those last 3 pitches really dragging that left shoulder down towards the first base line in an exaggerated way. And as I was warning, getting away from those mechanics too much. And that's 4 in a row that he's done in the same manner.
3 straight misses of the strike zone. He's at risk here of letting Allaire escape the 0-2 count. See if he can straighten it out for the payoff pitch. Again, a little overcompensation that time from Cater. So he leaves that one in the dirt and loses his man down to first base.
Yeah, now as a pitching coach with 5 in a row, you have to start wondering, is it just reaching back looking for the strikeout, or are we starting to see him get tired and maybe lose a little bit of that body control that's so important? And it's not a judgment that you have to make yet, but it's something that's got to start working in the back of your mind.
Yeah, plenty of good options in the Tiger bullpen. We'll see who they turn to if this recent trend continues for Cater. He misses again low.
And that was slightly better from him. And it's not a huge thing all the time. Often it's been really subtle for him throughout this inning. A couple of those pitches in that last at bat were really exaggerated, bit like that one. And yeah, you're going to see the catcher come out and talk to him.
Uncharacteristic here from Cater. 6 straight misses, none of them really close. Not even giving the umpire something to think about here.
Yeah, and sometimes you just need to go out there and, as a catcher, just distract your guy. Talk to something that's not baseball for a moment. Get his mind off of things. Let him have that little mental reset and break. And then he's able to take a little walk around the mound, focus in, and let's get this thing back under control. You know, even take a look to first base if you need it, but when you feel like you're back on top, let's get a strike in here.
Runner goes here. And it's going to be comfortable for Allaire, standing at second base.
Yeah, and that a pitch in the dirt as well. So not exactly the intended effect of a walk out to the mound by the catcher, but it's not always about those short-term immediate effects. Sometimes it takes a second or takes a couple of pitches. And that's certainly a little bit better there from Cater.
Yeah, long last finds the strike zone. Been 6 or 7 pitches since he was able to plate one. Now dealing with the runner in scoring position. Tying run at the plate for Endicott here in the 5th. And he misses high, and it's going to be sent to the backstop as well. You have to think that might be Cater's last action of the game as the runner advances to third, and there's runners on the corners. No movement, though, from the Tiger dugout, and here it comes.
Yeah, and I think that's, if it is the call, I think it's a good one. He just looks like the mechanics have gone. The fatigue has set in. And maybe you let him take a batter or two, try and get out of this inning, just because you trust your guy, he's your number one. But I think if you're the coach right now, you have to be telling him, listen, we don't like what we're seeing. Not only do we, not want you to get hurt because you're tired, but we also want to make sure you're keeping those mechanics tight. We trust you. You're our guy. You let us know how you're feeling, but if it's affecting your game, we're going to have to take you out of here. And it looks like they might let him try and work his way out of this one, which, is early in the season. I think you can kind of afford to make those decisions, even if they're not the quote-unquote optimal ones. But you had to at least let your guy know.
Back to the top of the order as well for the goals. Millar, who has flown out and popped out.
That is a lot better.
And a good response there from Cater. There's runner on first and third. Not showing up at the moment at the bottom of your screen. I think the noise before the pitch is coming from the Endicott dugout. Certainly has me looking around wondering what's going on when they start yelling. Cater comes set in the 0-1. And he gets a swing out of Millar on the ball that dipped down into the dirt.
Yeah, and the mechanic's not 100% there for him on that pitch, but, Cater was a nasty pitch last year, too. We're not saying that he had to make this complete makeover to make the switch into a pitcher that's really dominant. He can get away with it from time to time because his stuff is so good. I think from a coaching perspective, it's just more about you'll be able to see the effects of fatigue a little bit more as those things happen.
Certainly able to dial it up that time and get strikeout number 9 on the evening. Millar sent back to the dugout now 0 for 3. And it's going to be Duffy with 2 outs. And I got caught looking at my notes here, but as Duffy looks on, the Tigers are convinced that that was out number 3.
Yeah, and we're gonna get a coaching argument here from Endicott head coach Brian Haley, as we really didn't have a great look at that part of the field, but gonna take a look at this again. Get the strikeout.
Just keep looking, and there's a lot of pointing going on from the umpire here. I'm not sure what it is I've just seen, but from a Tiger perspective, you don't mind it. Cater gets out of the inning, and we head to the bottom of the 5th. Still 5-3 Trinity. We'll try and get an answer for you and for Coach Haley as soon as we can.
Yeah, just to bring you back, this is what we were seeing on the replay. It looks like right there, maybe we're getting a call of batter's interference as the batter walks in front of him, maybe touches Pettit with the bat. And to me, it just looks like a smart move from Pettit. He kind of steps into that batter's box. As you can see, he's right on the line there. He makes a step towards the batter. And I believe that's batter's interference, runner out at second, and that's why we had that end of the inning. Strong protest from Coach Brian Haley, but No dice.
As we come back to live action, 2-2 count here for Wisniewski. And this one's going to be sent in between the first and second baseman, sliding into first base head first, but Wisniewski just behind the ball and the pitcher covering. That was a close call at first base.
Yeah, and it makes you look cool, but I've never really been a fan of the dive into first. Not sure it actually speeds you up at all. And that is a hard fought, but perhaps not smartest played out.
One away for Trinity here in the bottom of the fifth. And MJ Metz steps in 0 for 2. Had a pop out and a fly out to his name so far. And check with the umpire over at first. So he didn't go around. The official ruling from the scoring is that it was interference on the attempted throw down to second. I think the best part for Trinity is that it was an out in which Cater didn't even have to throw the ball. Still potential for him to maybe come out for the sixth, as he had gathered himself before and gotten that strikeout.
Yeah, now he gets a chance to sit in the dugout, put the jacket on, kind of mentally reset in a way that it's difficult to do out on the mound. You know, you come out for a visit as a catcher, you come out for a visit as a coach, but really there's only so much you can do compared to a long break between innings where you can really think yourself through, okay, what are my keys? What am I trying to do in my mechanics? How am I trying to plant my foot? How am I trying to shift my weight? And then able to come out focused. And at that point, it's just a matter of whether your body can execute or not. There's really no mental factors at play. It's just how tired am I at this moment. 'Cause that is a heck of a pitch.
Yeah, great movement on that one from Brown, and he gets MJ Metz back into the dugout 0 for 3. Tigers are going to have to do something here with 2 outs if they're going to do anything at all in the fifth as Johnson steps in. Johnson still hitting .333 in the early season despite the 0 for 2 so far today. Brown doesn't get the call that time from the umpire, and it's 1-1. Very similar look that time, just a little bit outside. For our favorite foster dog dad, Joseph Brown. Comes, deals this time, chopped over to third. It's going to be a long throw and a long stretch. Terrific play made that time by Nardone to get the man at first. And the Tigers go in order here. The bottom of the order goes quietly. And we'll be right back with you for the top of the sixth. Tigers lead 5-3. Goals come up here against Corey Cater, still out there on the mound for Trinity in the top of the 6th. Goals went down in protest their last time up after the interference call went as out number 3. Hitter number 3 in their lineup now, Kyle Brennan. 1 for 2 today as a RBI single and a strikeout. It's good for a .500 average on the season. Endicott playing their first game tonight. Tigers 4-0 so far this year. That all coming last weekend in Austin. The Gulls certainly have a tough schedule to play. Not only are they here for 3 games, it's just their only 3-game series of the season as Brennan sends this one out into center field. It's going to be a tough play for Meredith, one that he can't come up with. And Johnson tracks it down. It's going to be a leadoff triple here for Kyle Brennan. He's now 2 for 3.
Showing quite a bit of speed there, and this was a ball that was just left over the plate. And I would say for Corey Cater right now, whenever that shoulder dips below parallel with the ground on his release, sideways, I think that's when he's running into issues. If you're seeing it anywhere above that, I think he's in the correct direction. It's just that over-exaggerated fall over that can sometimes get him into trouble. That one wasn't too bad, but the one before it was left right over the plate. Serious mistake.
Gulls haven't got much production so far out of Perkins, sitting in the cleanup spot. And is quickly behind in the count, 0-2. I was mentioning about the Endicott schedule. They play Trinity of Texas 3 times, Cortland, and then Trinity of Connecticut, and University of Massachusetts Boston. All teams that are in that nationally ranked conversation. Those UMass Boston games are in conference for Endicott, who play in the Commonwealth Coast Conference. Triple C. Last won it back in 2014. This one stays fair, and it's going to bring home run number 4 for the Gulls, who are sticking around and now within 1 in the 6th.
Yeah, and Cater is having to rough his way through this inning. You can tell still struggling with the mechanics, still struggling with a bit of fatigue. Just about managing to squeak through so far, but you wonder how long he can keep the deception show up before it's time to just bring in a fresh arm. Went 5 2/3 in his last outing. Looking to go deeper here, but not sure he'll get there.
He's got 1 away here, and the base is empty. Nardone at the plate, who he's got on a ground out and a fly out. Webster after that, also 0 for 2, and then Robita, who is also 0 for 2. This has been a good stretch of the lineup for Cater, but we'll see if that fatigue setting in plays a factor as he gets the high fastball for a swinging strike. Yeah, a lot of the success for Endicott came in back-to-back years under Coach Brian Haley. 13 and 14 seasons they took the conference championship and played in that NCAA regional up in the New England area. Haven't been able to live up to that success in the subsequent 5-year period. To an extent similar to Trinity, who after that terrific national championship winning season have been looking to get back to that level. Sometimes you just have to worry about the task at hand and not try and shake the ghost off your back. Easier said than done, though. 1-2 count here for Nardone. The only first-year player in this opening night roster for Endicott. Plays at first base defensively for the Gulls. He's going to have to be swinging defensively here down in the count 1 and 2. Happy to let that one go by in the dirt. Evens it up at 2 and 2. Cater approaching triple digits on the pitch count. You have to imagine somebody warming up for Trinity at the moment. Don't have eyes on the pin though. See somebody maybe making their way over towards the dugout. Tough to tell. The 2-2 gets another swinging strikeout on the high fastball. And that is the 10th strikeout of the evening for Cater, who's been able to get a lot of swings and misses, especially with that high gas.
Yeah, he's just about hanging on right now, and honestly, for Corey Cater, there's nobody at the plate right now as far as he's concerned. You're just fighting against yourself. You're fighting against your own body, your own mechanics, just trying to keep yourself locked in. And when he's doing it, it is still working. He's still able to get done what he needs to get done, and when it isn't, it's really a difficult struggle to get the ball even in the zone.
It's been a struggle so far tonight for Webster, the catcher, at the plate now. He's 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. A couple of misses, though, to start the at-bat for Cater. Love to grab one more strikeout and get out of this inning under triple digits. Swing and a miss that time from Webster behind it. Endicott already profited from the leadoff triple from Brennan in this inning. Cut the lead to 1. Another swing and a miss that time from Webster. Haven't seen really anything from Trinity offensively since the second inning. They left the bases loaded in the 4th. Focus now on Cater as he tries to get out number 3. Just misses, and it's going to be a full count for the Sacramento, California native.
Certainly isn't going to come easy. Not against this team, not tonight.
Cater comes set and steps off, takes his time. It's a very important pitch, especially in his evening. Continue to try and build stamina and get that game experience early in the campaign. Stretched out a little bit more every time. And he doesn't get the strike 3 call to end the 6th. So there's now a runner on first. They're going to stick with Cater, though, on 97 pitches against Rabida. Lefty with 17 on his back, wags the bat back and forth and takes low for ball 1. third walk issued by Corey Cater up against 9 strikeouts. He didn't have the strikeout stuff in his first outing this season. Only had 2 Ks. Got him to go around that time, I guess. Top of the order due up for Trinity if they can get out of this top half of the 6th. The 1-1 again comes in low, very similar to the first pitch of the at-bat.
Yeah, and you can just keep watching that left shoulder slip further and further down. And the lower it goes, the more the control is going to have issues.
Strike number 2 there. Good pitch on the inside part of the plate.
Yeah, and mechanically, that's one of his best deliveries this whole inning. Right up there with a fairly similar fastball he threw 2 batters ago.
Two pitch on the way. And he gets strike 3, and the Tigers will head back to the dugout, still in the lead, although they concede 1 run there in the 6th. Cater gets through 6 frames. Tigers lead 5-4. They're up to bat. Top of the order when we come back. Herrera fouls off the first pitch of the bottom of the 6th inning. Joseph Brown still out on the mound. Now 2 full innings pitched. Given up 1 hit, walked 1, and struck out 2. And that one out into right field as that one shot off the handle of the bat from Herrera. And he gets his first hit at home as a member of the Trinity Tigers baseball team.
Yeah, and that one was a rope just past the second baseman. Really solid contact. Launch angle was a little low, but it gets the job done, and it sets up who last year was your best hitter, Rafe Chaumette, once again with a chance to either move some runners over or do some damage. And that is going to be the end of our favorite dog fosterer's night. Joseph Brown makes his way back to the dugout, and we're going to get a pitching change here.
So early on in the bottom of this 6th inning, Coach Brian Haley goes to his bullpen, and we'll see who he brings out when we return in just a moment. Alexander Mandris, the senior right-hander, is the one they turn to here in the bottom of the 6th, with Chaumette in the batter's box and Herrera on first. Tigers looking to grab a couple of insurance runs maybe, as Endicott have slowly chipped away at what was once a 5-0 lead after the 2nd inning. Tiger bats have gone relatively cold since, 6 of 21 overall, with 5 walks and 4 strikeouts as a team.
Good first pitch there from Mandris. We've gone full into college funky reliever territory. He's got the glasses. He's got the lean back onto the front foot on the mound. Call that the stance. And he's got the near sidearm delivery. And I believe he's got Rafe Chaumette out.
Duffy able to bring that one in, and indeed he does. Herrera stays put at first, and Chaumette back to the dugout 0 for 3. Still hasn't got going yet in 2020. Here's a man that certainly has 2 for 3 on the day and came into this one 6 of 16. Mason Meredith hitting .421 with a homer, 3 RBIs, and a 1.266 OPS.
I tell you what, that fastball has a little bit of pop on it. A little bit faster than we were led to believe during warm-ups.
Urgent message here from Webster, the catcher, comes running out to the mound. Something he wasn't happy with in the signs, maybe.
They were losing the unlucky signs, so I had to switch them up.
Good work there from Webster. Tipped it to himself and made sure that Herrera couldn't take off from first base.
I mean, that's difficult to do if you're trying.
A bit of improvisation there as that one jams Meredith, who's now behind in the count 1-2. The 1-2 is chopped towards the shortstop. This one could be two, and they do attempt to turn it, but Meredith beats it out. It'll just be a fielder's choice. And they are now 2 away here in the bottom of the 6th. Not a bad attempt to turn 2 from the goals, but Meredith's speed keeps the Tigers alive here in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, certainly tough to turn one on shortstop center fielder. Is not your ideal combo of runners if you're looking to turn a double play.
Goodrich now steps in. He was hit by a pitch in his last at bat, and that one gets away as they attempted to check Meredith at first. He now advances into scoring position. 2 bags away from adding to the Tigers' 1-run lead.
And if there weren't 2 outs already on the board, honestly, he probably could have stretched that into 2. Obviously, you don't want to be the guy that gets tossed out at third trying to take an extra one when there are 2 outs already on, but that was not a good throw, suffice it to say.
Goodrich stands in with that really wide stance, looking to generate the power. That time he fouls it off. Landerar waits in the on-deck circle if it gets to him here in the 6th. Goodrich has a single, ground out, and the base on the hit by pitch. That one coming in really high from Mandris.
Notably not another button undone for the hit by pitch. So we know it's just hits now, not on base performance, which is an important distinction.
That time he gets Goodrich to swing low in the zone. And time is called here. And I think my understanding is that Coach Haley wants the same interference call that went against the goals earlier in the game. Goodrich certainly didn't make any motion to get out of the way of a throw down to check on the runner. And I believe, yeah, it was Meredith advancing to third on the play. And the umpires are going to talk about it here. I think they might have a case.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're going to have it go against you, you may as well get him to talk about it. But unfortunately, he is not going to have the numbers come up jackpot for him here on this occasion.
I mean, if you're just arguing on what's already been done in this game, the precedent was set for a little bit of a shoddy interference call. Umpire decided against that one here. The 1-2, Goodrich sends it down the line, foul. He stays alive, and so do the Tigers with the runner 90 feet away. Good job of blocking that one from Webster. If it got past him, Tigers adding a 6th run there. Instead, it's just 2-2.
Yeah, and when I say he took that one on the chin, he literally took it on the chin.
That one comes in high. The count runs full. Meredith might be able to get a little bit of a head start here. And it's going to be ball 4. Goodrich gets on again. Now 3 out of his 4 appearances, he's ended up on base. And runners on the corners for Jack Von der Aar.
Yeah, and this will be a lefty up for Mandris. Not the ideal matchup for the way that he pitches, his style. And the control also shown to be a weakness. Von der Aar shown some patience during this game.
His first pitch swinging that time and fouled it off for strike 1. Mandris came in and got Chomette to fly out, the lefty, and then got the fielder's choice from Meredith, who now waits on third, and he's got a 0-2 count against Von der Aar.
And that's a tough pitch to take.
Von der Aar in the hole here, 0-2. Mandris comes set and misses high. If the Tigers aren't able to do anything here through Jack Von der Aar, that'll be their 8th and 9th runners left on base. Most notably leaving the bases loaded in the 4th. And the 1-2, and it's a swinging strike 3 for Mandris. Do you see what it means to him? The goals are right in this game, only down 1 after 6. We'll be right back with you on the Tiger Network. It's going to be a season debut here for Arjun Thakur. And he gets strike number 1 on pitch number 1. He relieves for Corey Cater, who goes 6 innings and gives up 4 earned runs. Also gets 10 strikeouts, gives up 3 walks. Quickly out ahead of Matthew McKinley, 0-2. Thacker getting the ball in a big situation here.
Yeah, coaching staff definitely showing some trust in the fireman. He's back once again. I got to say, the mechanics look a little bit cleaner, a little bit more under control than they did last year. And he's just such a hard worker. You can see him even in long toss. He is just slinging the ball as hard as he can, getting every ounce out of every training session, trying to get better. And he's seeing some results there.
Gets strike 3, and the throw down to first is in time, so there's one away here in the 7th. Thacker off to a good start to his 2020 season.
And I think as a coaching staff, they're looking at the bridge being from Cater to Thompson, so they're going to want him to go probably the full 2, but we'll see if he can manage it.
Just misses low that time against Allaire. Was able to reach base last time with a walk. Close miss that time from Thacker. 2-0. That one right in there for a strike. The Endicott goals averaged about 6.1 runs per game last year. Still time to reach that mark in this one. Hit 270 as a team. Compare that to the Tigers, who had 7.5 runs per game and hit 302 as a team. And you see where the difference in results came from. The goals finished 23-18 to the Tigers 35-12. Of course, the head-to-head series went 2-1 in favor of Trinity. Tigers have started the year hot in 2020, 4-0, and the Endicott goals getting off to a decent start so far in this one, which is their first contest of the year. Be a really big confidence boost for this team, who still have their best pitcher to go, Kevin Gould. And he's going to have to go there. Christian Allaire back to the dugout. 2 strikeouts for Arjun Thacker.
I tell you what, he is showing me something right here. The fastball looks like it's got some pop on it, a little bit more than last season. Controlling it slightly better. We haven't seen the breaking ball yet, but the fastball's had some pretty nice life on it. A little bit of sinking action towards the arm side. And he is locating it right now, especially for these left-handed batters. That is so difficult to get a beat on.
It'll be hugely important for Trinity to discover early in the season where they have dependable pitching. That one's fouled off for strike 2. After they lost Mark Tyndall, who was set to be the number 1, and potentially force him to move Cater into a starting role. Now you start to see really where you have depth in your pitching staff. Time called here by Millar, who's 0 for 2, has a walk as the leadoff hitter.
Got to be low fastball.
They go for it.
Yes, sir.
And they get it. 3 strikeouts for Arjun Thacker, who's just about perfect here in the top half of the 7th. It's stretch time in San Antonio. The Tigers lead 5-4. You're watching the Tiger Network. Bottom of the 7th here, new man on the mound for Endicott. It's Brendan Quigley, whose release is just about as unorthodox as the last name.
Yeah, and if you remember a reliever for the Texas Rangers a couple years ago, Alex Claudio, kind of the same thing, just from the right side. Has that sidearm, really deceptive delivery, but that's kind of all there is going for it. It's definitely not something that's going to overpower you. It's really just something that's there to throw off your timing.
And it didn't throw off Blake Johnson here as he gets a great look at it, and he sends it back over the left field wall, and that one's gone. First home run of the home campaign for Trinity this year. Blake Johnson got all of that one and takes Quigley over the left field wall, 6-4 Trinity.
I mean, what a setup, right?
It was Pettit, excuse me. Pettit not fooled
That is deep.
at all.
The roof on that building out there is a ways out. So that is one heck of a bomb. And clearly the timing not thrown off, as you mentioned.
Terrific work there from the Tiger catcher. That's home run number 7 of the season for Trinity. In game number 5, setting an excellent pace already.
Yeah, and we warned you at the top of the broadcast, may not be a guy who makes a ton of contact, but he has some legit pop to him. And you saw a little bit of that raw power right there.
Quigley now dealing to Wisniewski. That one comes in high. Wisniewski, who is responsible for 3 of Trinity's 6 runs with the RBI double way back in the 2nd inning. Sends this one foul. Count now full.
Little hard to imagine being late on these pitches. You know, I can imagine it just feels like you're just kind of waiting there forever. And then you finally have to pull the trigger, and that's how guys like Quigley get outs.
And we'll see how they score this one. It was a tough play for Allaire to get there, and then the throw was what pulled Nardone off the bag, and throwing error will send Wisniewski to second. We'll see if they give him a single, though. Wouldn't be surprised. It was a decently placed ground ball.
Yeah, that would be perhaps a tad harsh. It's a difficult play. It's a makeable one for sure, but especially being a home game, I think you might reward the batter there.
Either way, Wisniewski on second. Nobody out here for Brendan Quigley in the bottom of the 7th. MJ Metz comes to the plate. Now 0 for 3. Good chance for him to maybe lay down a bunt here and advance the runner. He was looking for it. Pulled back just in time.
I mean, if there was ever a time for a guy like MJ Metz to get himself going and just send one over the fence, just pull one out of here.
Quigley steps back on to the rubber here. Gets the sign from Webster. The 1-0 pitch is on its way, and Metz gets all of this one, sends it into center field. It's going back, but it's going to be comfortable for Duffy. Another one that Metz makes good contact with, but just didn't get enough behind it.
Yeah, that one is just slightly under it. And again, straight to a fielder. And like we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, you wonder if it's a timing thing that can be fixed where maybe you just have a trigger that's a little bit different with your front leg, change up what you're doing with the toe tap or something of that nature to where maybe you're pulling those balls a little bit more, as that is an unfortunate pitch.
Yeah, Blake Johnson's going to get a free base there from Quigley, who hits him on the foot. Going to take that moment to formally apologize for calling Tyler Pettit Blake Johnson as he sent the ball over the fence. Quigley sends Johnson over to first base. And back to the top of the order for Trinity, but not before, I think, quick conference with the batter. Just waiting for maybe a coach from Endicott to come out. They're leaving Quigley out there on the island.
There's a 20% chance that that conversation was just swing hard and put this one out.
He's already shown it early on in his Trinity career, and a home run here would count for 3, and it would put the Tigers in a very comfortable position. This is a matchup that Trinity has to love. Herrera against Quigley.
I think just the barrel control from Herrera is so important in a position like this when it's all about timing it up or staying out of the way. Excuse me. Moves a runner over, though.
Second and third now, as some readjusting of the straps from Webster behind the plate. Maybe just another strategy to buy time for somebody to get ready in the bullpen. As you come into this inning, obviously you have some trust in Brendan Quigley. When the first batter takes you yard, it's difficult to regain that confidence as a reliever.
Yeah, certainly. And some nights you just don't have it. Whether it's a mechanical thing that you just can't fix or just feeling out of sorts or that burrito you had for lunch just doesn't sit quite right. Could be any number of things. It's just some nights are not your night. Oh.
Herrera not happy with that one. It's the second straight hit batsman for Quigley.
And I think at this point you got to take him out, and I think that's what's happening here.
Not only, I think Herrera annoyed that he had to take that one on the back, he's annoyed he didn't get a chance to take it over the fence. Never got a pitch that was even remotely hittable from the reliever. And now bases are loaded for Trinity. We've seen this already once before in the game. They left them loaded in the fourth. But with all the bags full, it's going to be a new pitcher coming into the game for the Gulls here in the bottom of the seventh. Give him a chance to warm up, and we'll be right back with you in just a moment. Chance here for Rafe Shamet with the bases loaded, and he's going to be up against Nicholas Borkowski, who leaves one just off the outside corner of the plate. The sophomore from Southington, Connecticut, majoring in sport management. Doesn't foster dogs, but he volunteers at the local church and food pantries. And he leaves that one well outside against Shamet, who's 0 for 3. Still looking to get going, and what better opportunity. And he sends this one up the middle and past the diving second baseman, and at least a couple are going to score here for Trinity, or maybe back out in front comfortably now. The RBI single from Rafe Shamet. It's been a long time coming to start the season.
Yeah, and that is a Rafe Shamet special. Pulled just outside the reach of the second baseman. Get your hit, knock a couple in. Job done.
Those runs won't go against Borkowski, but they will go against the goals. And there's no end in sight at the moment for school from Beverly, Massachusetts, as Meredith steps in. 8-4 lead now for Trinity.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time this has happened this season. Trinity has had a couple of games which, in a slightly different tone, were actually pitchers' battles while the starters were in, and then as soon as the bullpens came out, the Tigers just absolutely started ripping things apart on the offensive side. So this could become a theme throughout the season. It seems like that frontline start pitching, or at least that frontline reliever talent, might give them some issues at times, but eventually they're going to get their man. And that is another hit batter. And at this point, it is not a great look, you'd have to say.
Yeah, the Tigers will take the free bases. They're going to have to get the ice packs out tonight. Plenty of them to go around. And
Do we have the
bases
budget
are loaded
for that?
again. It's just water, right? It's just frozen water.
I was thinking about those fancy ones you would get at the nurse's office back when you were in middle school. Only give out one of them.
Strike one here to Goodrich, who gets a chance with the bases loaded to really blow this one open. Still only one away in the bottom of the 7th. Tigers did 5 runs of damage in the 2nd, and they're looking to at least match that here in the 7th. Goodrich looking for any excuse to lose another button, I think. The base is loaded. And he ropes this one out into left field. That certainly scores one, and the throw's going to come home. Maybe a play at the plate here, but they hold him up. And the Tigers just add one on the RBI single from Goodrich.
And that is another good, solid piece of hitting. This one also a pulled grounder into the hole. And that is a button down, my friend.
Now 2 for 3. And on base 4 out of 5 times for the designated hitter for Trinity. It's exactly what you ask for. And the bases stay loaded for Jack Vonderart. Borkowski comes and deals. Vonderart sends this one high into shallow right center field, and Allaire, the second baseman, makes the catch. Nobody moving on the base pass for Trinity, and there are 2 away. The man who led off the inning with the home run over the left field wall, Pettit, steps back in, this time with a chance, maybe, for a grand slam.
It's certainly on the cards. Unlikely to get quite exactly the same caliber of meatball that he got last time he was up, but you never know.
That one drops off the plate for Barkowski, 1-0. Wisniewski would be next. He's 3 for 4 with 3 RBI. No call forthcoming there from the umpire. 2-0.
Seemingly a little stingier as this game has gone on.
It's going to be back against the wall here for Borkowski. 3-0 pitch coming up with the bases loaded.
And you got to think he's got rights to swing.
And he misses with 4 straight pitches. And that brings the 10th Tiger run home in the form of Rafe Shamet. Steps on the plate, and Wisniewski's going to step up to it here. Second baseman is 3 for 4. He's had a terrific evening. Chance to make it even better here.
Yeah, and Coach Haley's got to be asking himself what he has to do to get out of this inning.
Misses outside to Wisniewski. It'll be a real test for Endicott, not only because they're having to go through numerous pitchers in this one, but this is their only 3-game series of the season scheduled. So maybe not something they necessarily planned for, having to go 3 games in a weekend. We expect to see Kevin Gould start either the second or the third matchup, who was a third-team All-Region last year, and he's back for a 5th season with the Ghouls. Former first-team All-CCC twice. That one right out over the plate for Wisniewski. And it's going to be 2-2-2. Borkowski comes and deals. This one's lined, but dies out in front of the second baseman, and Wisniewski leaves him loaded, but not before Trinity adds all kinds of insurance in the bottom of the 7th. They explode for 5 runs, and it's 10-4. Head into the 8th inning. Tigers comfortably in front. Thacker keeps his place on the mound for Trinity, expectedly so after striking out all 3 batters he's faced. This one, though, not going to be a strikeout. It's sent out into center field. Should be comfortable for Mason Meredith, and he makes the play. 1 pitch, 1 out for Endicott.
He's decided to go for efficiency this inning.
Can really do whatever he wants the way he's pitching at the moment.
That is so far proven to be true.
This will be a tough matchup, though. Kyle Brennan, 2 for 3, including a leadoff triple back in the 6th. Came around to score. Only one in the lineup for the Gulls with a pair of hits. After him, it's a barren stretch in the lineup. 0 for 11 combined in the next 4 batters. They've hit 4 of 26 as a team for 154 average. And before the Tigers exploded for 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th, it was looking like they didn't have to do much better than that to be in the game. Trinity's offense finally came alive again after a 5-run second inning and then a 4-run barren patch. The 3-0 is in the dirt, and Thacker allows his first base runner. Shows he is, in fact, mortal.
It's a pity base runner.
Just setting up for the double play.
Told you he was going for efficiency.
Perkins steps in. He's 0 for 3, and he takes strike 1. Nashua, New Hampshire native. It's a mouthful. Thacker lucky that one didn't come off the shin of Brennan. One and one. The Tigers sophomore comes set and deals. This one may stay playable for Pettit behind the plate. No. It's going to be 1 and 2.
Could be a good time for a fastball low in the zone. Thacker does have that sinking action away from a lefty. So he could try and play this one bottom left corner or bottom right. Doesn't really matter. Possibility for a nice little ground ball to put this inning away either way.
Yeah, looks could be deceiving, but Brennan doesn't look the most fleet of foot. Haven't really seen him get out and run at all. Excuse me, Perkins. Brennan, at the moment, stands on first base after the walk. And here is that ground ball, but it's weakly hit to third, and Mets did come up with it cleanly. See how they score that one.
Should probably be at least getting 1 out of that. Fully can understand not banking on the double play there, going to first with it, but that might just go down as an error. We'll have to wait and see.
Nardone next up for the Gulls. Runners on first and second for the visitors. 1 gone. Strike 1 in there for Thacker. MJ Metz escapes there with the home scoring. So that one goes as a single to Perkins. Say, took a tough hop off the lip of the infield. Thacker out in front here, 0-2.
And in all seriousness, those last two fastballs, the best of the inning, looking a lot more like his last inning self.
And that is more like it. Nardone goes down on 3 strikes, and he's 0 for 4.
Yeah, and it certainly seemed like it was all building up to that. Had looked just a touch off, really, even in warm-up tosses, but that at-bat was a lot more like it. And there it is again.
Just hitting that spot over and over, now up against the catcher, Webster. Justin Webster fouls that one back. There's going to be a pinch hitter here. Excuse me, Justin Wardwell. Comes in as an outfielder for Webster, the catcher. I believe this will be his first collegiate at-bat the first year for Endicott. Tough spot here, 0-2. Stays alive now with the foul ball down towards the Trinity dugout.
Honestly, that's an impressive piece of hitting. That was a difficult ball to get to. Down in the zone with some heavy action on it. Just tumbling.
The 0-2, again fouled off by Winwell. 3 straight foul balls for first-year outfielder on his debut.
Maybe giving Coach Haley a little something to think about going forward. If he puts in a
Go
good enough
high
showing.
here. Thacker hits his spot, purposefully out of the zone. Didn't get Winwell to chase, so it's 1-2.
Yeah, not a terrible idea by Pettit to just try and get the first year to go out of the zone, but he is not biting at all.
He's worked it back to 2-2 now.
And you'd have to say Thacker's hit his spots on all of those. He's executing.
This one's going to be grounded to second base. Should be comfortable for Wisniewski, and it is. Thacker gets out of the inning. A couple of base runners for Endicott, but they can't capitalize. It remains 10-4 to Trinity as we head to the bottom of the 8th on the Tiger Network. Tiger Bats come back up for what they hope is the final time this evening. MJ Metz digs in, looking for his first hit of tonight's game. Borkowski keeps his place on the mound for Endicott. Working quickly here in the bottom of the 8th. 8-9-1 due up for Trinity. Johnson waits on deck. Herrera to follow him. That one cannons off the chest plate of the replacement catcher. Get a name for you here quickly. Metz sends that one foul down the third base line. Got a glimpse of what looked like it could have been a 2 on the back of the catcher, which would mean it's Joseph Brown. We've already seen today, so it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's not possible.
See, well, it's a single digit, certainly. Could be 4. Thomas Barberry, a first-year catcher.
Believe it's Christopher Webster, number 8, but I am not sure, and obviously the scorers aren't either.
Webster was pinch hit for, I believe, last inning, as McDonald
That's correct.
sends this one out into right field for a single. Well done to him, pinch hitting for Johnson. Saw one pitch, liked what he saw, and put it out in front of Millar in right. Brings up Michael Herrera. It's 1 for 2. Reached base 3 out of 4 times. Almost reached base there with another hit batsman, but just evaded his forward elbow.
Almost again.
I think he'd like a chance to just hit the ball instead of get hit by the ball. Actually reached 3 times, 2 walks, 1 hit batter, and then the single as well.
Took a heck of a hack at that one, and can't blame him. It's probably the first good pitch he's seen in 2 at-bats.
That one catches the inside part of the plate. I believe it's 2-2 here for Tigers' leadoff hitter. This one sent foul off the cage behind the plate by Herrera. Still 2-2. And that one should allow the runner to advance. Came off the chest piece of the catcher once again. And Evan McDonald, the redshirt sophomore from Pflugerville, Texas, now stands on second base. going to be another walk for Michael Herrera, who reaches base once again. He's really doing the job of the leadoff hitter tonight. And the runner able to advance as that one gets past the catcher. That's five out of 6 plate appearances. Herrera's been able to work his way onto first base in some form or fashion.
How's that for a leadoff hitter?
Shamet sends this one foul down the line. He reached base and grabbed a couple of RBI his last time up after an 0 for 4 start. Still 3 RBI to his name tonight. To equal for the team lead with Wisniewski, who had the 3 RBI double way back in the second. 2 runs batted in for Tyler Pettit. Both of those coming in the 7th off the home run and the bases loaded walk as Shamet makes some solid contact here and sends this one out in front of the right fielder. 4 RBI now as the Tigers add to their lead. 2 straight hits for Shamet. And once you get into the middle of this lineup, there's really nowhere for a pitcher to hide. You're going to get exposed if you leave a pitch out over the plate, and Borkowski did that time.
It's a sad, sad time. And for Borkowski, I think it's going to be the end of his.
Looks like it could be just, quick conversation here. Leave Borkowski in. They've gone through quite a few pitchers already, and with eyes to Saturday and Sunday's games, looks like they're just going to try and rely on him to get us through. It'll be 7, 8, and 9 due up for Endicott when we get around to the top of the 9th. Good pitch that time from Borkowski, dropped in for a strike. Two and one now for Mason Meredith. Was one of those 6 players mentioned as a player to watch this season by D3Baseball.com. Career stats: 237 at bats, 329 average. Sends this one out into left center field. It's going to be a tough play for either of the outfielders. They nearly come together in a collision. I think it's going to send a runner home for Trinity. Indeed, an RBI off the sac fly there from Meredith. Adds to his total on the year.
Good work from him as this half inning continues to drag, and indeed Trinity continues to drag this one out, getting every insurance run they can before they turn things over in the 9th.
Goodrich officially 2 for 3, also with a walk and a hit batter. And he sends this one beautifully out into center field. Terrific base hit there from Goodrich, and it's another RBI for him.
Nice little line drive flare. And like we mentioned right as the top of the order was coming up, once you get there, it is a bad, bad time And it has proven to be so once again. Good piece of hitting from Goodrich. And now Vonderhaar, who does not have a hit on the day, but has shown a discerning eye. See if he can work something here against Borkowski. Should move the runners over. And it does.
Goodrich on second, Chimette on third for Trinity. Lead 12-4 in the bottom of the eighth. Good pitch that time, high in the zone from Borkowski. Got Vonderhaar to chase, 1-1. That time he drops the off-speed pitch in. Vonderhaar out in front of it, fouls it off. This Endicott team held opposition to 1 run or fewer 11 times last year. And a lot of that was due to the work of Kevin Gould, who was still hoped to see later in the series. But they certainly haven't had it amongst the pitching staff today. Given up 12 and still not out of this 8th inning. As you'd expect, every time they were able to do so, they won the game, 11-0. And they'll be thrilled to return their ace Gould, who missed his entire junior year, so he still had the year left of eligibility, and he stuck around to work on his masters. That one's just outside for Borkowski. Matt Bold as well, another 5th year on the roster. Haven't seen him today. Wonder if that's an injury issue. He's hit a 324 clip in just about 250 career at-bats for the Gulls. This one's sent down the line for Vonderhaar, and looks like his night is going to end without a hit, but the inning doesn't end before Trinity add a couple more. They lead 12-4. It'll be the last chance for the Gulls when we come back for the top of the 9th in just a moment. Jimmy Tatum on the mound to try and see this one out for Trinity. The red shirt junior officially, as he didn't see any action in the 16-17 season, has been converted over to a pitcher from an infielder, getting his first look of the new year. Has 4 1/3 career innings pitched, and he's going to make it 4 2/3 here as he gets the ground out. 3 strikeouts, 4 walks, and 1 run, which was earned against him.
Looked pretty good in terms of stuff in warm-ups. Has that two-seam fastball, not too dissimilar from what we saw from Thacker. Maybe a little bit less heat on it, stuff behind it, but again, that action coming towards the arm side, like you saw just there. Fairly clean mechanics. Control can be a bit of a question mark at times, but overall should do a solid enough job and end this night out, but that is going to be a hit. Just drops in front of Meredith.
Yeah, that's one that the game's a little bit closer. You might see him try and lay out and make the play. Just lets it drop in front of him for the single. That was Jordan Carvalho, the junior catcher, getting an appearance off the bench and makes good with it. 1 for 1 on the year. Be a matchup with the number 7s here as Caleb Spur comes in, first year infielder.
Certainly a chance late in these games to make an impression for Coach Haley. Come in and claim a spot. That hits off of his bat. That's fantastic. Yeah, so that'll go down, believes a foul ball, but
yeah, it was a heads-up play from Spur to start making his way over towards first if it came off his bat and stayed in between the foul lines.
That would have been pretty incredible. But like I was saying, just a couple of first years or perhaps players on the fringes being able to come in first game of the season. It hasn't quite gone the way you wanted it to, but being able to show something, fight for an at-bat, maybe drop one in the gaps, give you a chance to prove yourself in a low-stakes situation and maybe merit some time in those higher-stakes situations and be able to prove yourself there as well. So certainly some important things in these games, even as they move into their latter stages. And not to mention that in baseball, it's never over until it's really over.
His at-bat is over there as Tatum drops that one in on the inside corner for strike 3. Probably not how Spurs saw his first collegiate at-bat going after the foul ball off the bat. Made it difficult for him in an 0-2 hole. And another pinch hitter here, Justin Bailey, junior outfielder from Grafton, Massachusetts, is the last hope here for the Gulls. Jimmy Tatum looking to get out of the 9th inning clean. Ball gets a bit dirty there as it bounces in to the mitt. Tatum from Thousand Oaks, California, is looking to finish off what another California native, Corey Cater, started, and he may be able to do so here as this one's chopped over to MJ Metz. Fields comfortably, throw over to first base, and that is that. Tigers move to 5-0 on the season and win their first home game of the 2020 campaign, 12-4 over the Endicott College Gulls. See the final stat line on your screen. Trinity wins 12-4. The next matchup will be tomorrow at 1 p.m. We'll have that for you on the Tiger Network as well For Sam McWhirter and myself, Ryan Figert, and all the student crew making it possible here, we thank you for your time on this Friday night, and we hope you enjoy it before we catch you again tomorrow. 1 p.m. first pitch, Trinity and Endicott. We'll see you then. Have a good night.